listening to Xposed Living Be Ageless, the podcast where we drop the masks, flip the script, and talk real life, real love, and real leadership unfiltered. I'm Stacey Van Thune, coach, speaker, entrepreneur, and founder of the Xposed Living movement that's redefining what it means to live, lead, and grow at any age. We talk identity, reinvention, belief, and freedom from the bedroom to the boardroom. Yes, we go there. This is not about staying young. This is about waking up. So if you're done with the shoulds and craving more fun, more freedom, more truth, more you, then grab your favorite drink, your bestie, maybe your journal. It's time. Let's get exposed. Welcome back to another episode of Xposed Living Be Ageless. I'm your host, Stacey Van Thune, and it's been a hot minute since I've done a solo episode. In fact, when I thought back to it, the first episode of 2026 was a solo episode, and we're already in the first week of March. So it is time. Today is Happy International Women's Day. I understand when this podcast gets posted, it will not be. However, I wanted to jump on today to do a special Happy Women's Day. You know, I was reflecting over the last year and thinking how many incredible beings I've had the privilege to meet, work with, step on stages with, be able to mentor, be coached by, be mentored by. And it's just been an incredible opportunity to see the different strengths, the different thoughts, different perceptions we each bring and embrace them to creating and collaborating. And, you know, on Friday was an example of this. So Friday was the Business Mastery Summit. And I want to do a shout out to the two organizers of the event, which is Kat Haluska and Thomas Stenson. Now, they did an incredible job. They had the sponsors, an amazing lineup of speakers. So shout out to Chris Marks, to Ashley McCarney, Angie Mercer, Patrick Callahan, Carly Grove, Tiffany Baker, Lauren Morgan, and a power panel that included Holly Penny, Ian Stevenson, Vanessa Easton, and Paul Pazanowski. And I feel so grateful for having a space alongside with these amazing beings. Each of us had something different to share in business and in life. And it was another example of how important it is to recognize our own individuality and to share it out. But, you know, no two talks were alike. They had some familiar undertones, but what differentiated it was how and who presented it. And so I think that's so indicative of Women's Day. There is no need for any of us to compete with each other. That we get ahead when we collaborate with each other, when we recognize, embrace, and promote each other. Our differences, our strengths. No one can do it like you. No one can do it like me. So to all of you women out there, happy Women's Day. I was also saying to all you men, thank you for supporting us along this journey. This isn't one sex is better than the other, but about stepping into all of our fullness, embracing that, and together we rise. So happy Women's Day. The timing of this discussion I want to talk about today, I think, is perfect with Women's Day. The women that made a difference, they didn't wait. They didn't wait for things to change before they decided to show up differently. They acted from what they knew and what they wanted. They didn't wait for the evidence. They focused in on the belief that they had of creating something better. This is what I want to talk to you about today, is how belief fuels evidence. You know, I love speaking about identity, but identity is created from the stories we tell ourselves, which is ultimately
based off the beliefs we have. And I ask you, when was the last time that you ever reevaluated your beliefs? Do you want something, whether that's a new financial goal, a new health goal, a relationship goal, a business goal? Do you want that goal, but expect to get it being who you are? Expect to get it with having the same beliefs that you currently have. Because if you do, this is where life can get overwhelming, where we grind, where we can even cause ourselves stress and break down, because we keep hoping and wishing for something different, a different outcome, being who we are currently. But yet, in order to create something new, we have to be someone new. Our outside world is a reflection of our beliefs. Our outside world is a reflection of who we are. So if we want the outside world to look differently, then we need to show up differently, to believe differently. And what stops us from showing up differently often is doubt. Is this like little voice that comes into our head that says, wait till tomorrow. Is it worth it? This is why when we're setting a goal, if the why to change is not greater than the why not, the why not will always win. Doubt keeps us in our comfort zone. Doubt keeps us small. We never rise to the level of our goal. We fall to our standards. And belief is a daily standard. So I want to share with you my thoughts around how important it is to deepen your belief in your ability, because we will never get something that we don't believe we are. Napoleon Hill once said, the state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Open-mindedness is essential for belief. Closed minds do not inspire faith, courage, or belief. You see, the state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Hope gives you options, but hope and wishing have no power. When you come from a place of belief that everything is working out for me, that I wouldn't want something that I can't create, then you're still separate from what it is that you want. What Napoleon is saying here is that we've got to act from the end with certainty. That closed minds create doubt, an open mind creates belief. And that belief will determine the ceiling of your results. Belief fuels evidence. Belief precedes evidence. And yet we've been conditioned so often to reverse that, to say, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, that's not belief in faith. That's like just the real world. And yet everything that we see in our 3D world, in our physical reality, is being created twice. First on the screen of our imagination, and then put into existence through the actions that we take, right? And so everything that you have in your world is a reflection of your past thinking, not an indication of your ability, of your potential. And a lot of us, myself included, so this is why I can talk really intimately about this, have probably used our present results to make our decisions. We have this dream, this goal of something, and it requires us to become someone different. And as long as the actions that we're needed to take are within our comfort zone, we do them. We say, yeah, I'm making a decision. I'm going to go do this. But that minute that we get to the edge, where we start to feel the resistance, we know that we're going into the unknown. It's not aligned with our current way of thinking. It's not aligned with our current day beliefs. And so it's in those moments that we'll start to hear that other voice, the voice of doubt. But it's very subtle. It's sneaky. It sounds logical. Let's take, for example, you have a health goal. And the night before, you set your alarm to get up early because you want to go to the gym. And you make a commitment to yourself, a decision to go to the gym, to wake up an hour earlier. But yet that morning comes and that bed feels so comfy. And you can hear the cold or the wind or whatever else outside. And you think to yourself, I'll start tomorrow. I'll just press snooze. No big deal. Just another day. You see, the people that win, the people that achieve those goals that they want, they don't negotiate with doubt. They don't negotiate with their old self. They act as if the goal is already done. And this isn't imposter syndrome. This isn't fake it till you make it. This is acting with intention, because we can't attract anything that we aren't. And so I've got to believe at the level that my goal demands. I've got to act and show up as a woman with my goal achieved in order to create it. And yes, that means I act and believe before I see what it is that I want, because I already see it on the screen of my mind. I love this quote from Picasso. He said something to the effect of, or someone asked him, how do you paint such beautiful paintings? He says, I dream my paintings and then I paint my dreams. This is exactly how we have to think in order to create more or something new that we want. We have to see it on our screen mind and then come from the law of assumption that it's already done. That I don't need the physical evidence to believe that it's happening. Because the moment that I wait for evidence to precede belief, I am grinding there. I am hoping and wishing. I'm relying on outside factors to do it. And it's not that people can't create results that way, but they're not working in harmony with the law. So it becomes more difficult. And I would say a lot of times people give up because they keep judging themselves based off of their current results. And I'll give you an example of this. When I made the decision to leave corporate to go into entrepreneurship and to support companies and individuals the way that I currently am, I was, like probably many of you, I wanted certainty that it would bring the success that I envisioned before I took action, right? If you don't know my story, I spent decades in corporate leadership, leading teams, driving performance. I loved corporate. I loved creating a culture that valued people and that valued performance. And I didn't leave corporate because of overwhelm or stress. I didn't. I just had this burning desire that I could do more. And yet I come from a family that there are no entrepreneurs. And to have a secure job like I had, especially being a single mom of two young girls that, paid over six figures, that had a great pension, all the benefits, all the things, the check marks that I worked so hard to get, to give that up, to follow a dream that I wasn't certain, if I was just basing it off of evidence, I could achieve, sounded ridiculous, illogical. But you notice how nothing is really created that's special unless it does start with kind of sounding a little illogical. Like, do the illogical. Because if it was in alignment with your current thinking, which would make it logical, you would already have it. If we could get what we want, being who we are, we'd already be achieving it. So in order to create more, we're going to have to step into that unknown. And so, as I was saying, I wanted certainty first, but belief doesn't work that way. And so I made a decision to invest significantly in myself. And I worked with some of the best thought leaders and continue to work with some of the best thought leaders and performance leaders in the world. I would say to myself, I believed and believed. I would say to myself, everything is always working out for me. And yet when it came time to invest again, when I got to that edge, which was a new edge for me because I had passed previous edges, but I didn't realize like there's no end to the edges, my friend. There's no end to it because you're literally infinite. We should always be getting to an edge and pushing through. And the more we do it, the more confidence we have in ourselves. We have a confidence that I may not know how, but I know that I'll figure it out with belief and with persistence. It breeds conviction. It breeds courage. And that's what I need to create what it is that I want. When it came time in my example here to invest in myself again, and my present results weren't showing me that what I wanted was here yet. In fact, they were like causing me to get a little bit nervous. I've invested over $150,000 in myself. When will that appear? Right? But then I'm coming from lack. And then I'm coming from this place of what? Oh yeah. Is that a solid belief? No. So when it came time to invest again, I hesitated. I paused. I looked at my bank account. And I told myself something that I'm sure sounds very responsible. It was like, you should probably wait. Maybe they'll have this conference again. But it was in that moment I realized I was operating from an outdated belief system. I needed to reevaluate my beliefs. I actually had to go in and say, Stacey, is there a possibility that you're saying something that you actually don't believe? Because if I believe at the end, what I want is here, is coming, then why wouldn't I be willing to invest in myself again? You see, the number one activity that done over and over again for ourselves, which becomes a habit, and habits drive 95% of what we do each and every day. But a new habit for you to install, for me to install, for any of us that want to create more in our lives, is only accepting and rejecting ideas from the goal. So in this example, what I had to ask myself is going to this event going to move me closer to my goal? Would the woman with my goal achieved a 10? And it was, of course she would. Well, then that's what I had to do. That's what my goal demanded me to do. It's not my job to figure out how. My job is to hold the belief. And when I went there and speaking to my mentor, he said something to me that just like hit me. And I want to share this with you because I think this is where it all comes down to. Because a lot of us say, well, I've gone outside of my comfort zone. Okay, great. But you continue to stay there and continue to believe and push through because 80% in is 100% out. Partial commitments always produce partial results. You see this with the leaders who are 80% committed to the strategy, entrepreneurs who are 80% committed to their growth. That would have been me. I was not there. I wouldn't have persisted through. I mean, going there, you wouldn't even believe this story when I say not only did the money appear to pay for the trip, but on my first night when I was away, I sat beside a person that actually became and continues to be one of my clients. In fact, he's hired me to work with his whole team. And when I think about it, but I was hesitating not to go. If I would have used my present results and decided not to go, not only would I not have been in the energy of the people in the room and with my mentor, but I wouldn't have met one of my best clients to date. The money showed. So these are the same thing with sales teams that are 80% committed to the targets. The results show it. And what stops us from going to that 80 to 100% is that doubt. And let me tell you, doubt kills more dreams than failing ever will. We've got to change our relationship with failure and see that failure is just an opportunity to learn. It teaches us. It's feedback. It helps us to grow. While doubt keeps us small. So there's a significant cost in doubt. And I think a lot of us, especially Gen X, we were taught better safe than sorry. But is it? Is it safer for me not to leave my job that I was in? Yes, it was safer, but my internal light was dimming. And so it wasn't better to be safe than sorry. I was missing out on reaching more levels of my potential, of bringing it out, of creating a bigger impact, of working with the incredible businesses and people that I get to do each and every day. I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I would have stayed small and played it safe. And yet my identity was always somebody that's earning over 6 figures. So guess what? My business became that too. And if I want to earn more, I have to level up those belief systems. Not just say it, but act in alignment with the goal. There's only 2 things that you need for wealth. Know where you are and know where you want to go. And the wealth formula is be, do, have. Yet so many of us are waiting till we have it before we be it and do it. Because, here's a great question. If you weren't afraid of being seen in the trying process, what would you do? If you weren't afraid of losing, if your success was inevitable, how differently would you show up? See, a lot of us think that fear is the enemy, but fear is merely the manifestation of doubt. So it's really doubt, that sneaky, logical way of thinking that we have to become more aware of, because when we don't become aware of that doubt, it turns into worry. Doubt and worry, when we continue to embody the feeling of that, results in the manifestation of fear. But flip that over. When we start to increase our awareness and understanding of the laws and operation of thought, of how our minds work, of the endless, the infinite potential in ourselves, and we start to really understand that, and we start to fall in love with the vision of ourselves with our goal achieved, and we embody that feeling now, that belief manifests into faith. So here we get that faith and fear. And both rely us to believe in the invisible. Which one is driving your decisions? You see, so many of us say we make a decision to do something different. But if the moment you get to your edge and the goal demands you to push through and to believe in that faith, to believe in the evidence before you see it, and you turn back, that's not a decision. That's wishful hoping, or you're lying to yourself that you made a decision, because the definition of decision is the death of anything opposite to what it is that we want. And so you start to think that, well, because it's not here, then it's not for us. Maybe you just haven't persisted long enough. Maybe you just haven't believed deep enough that there's more lessons for you to learn. I know that's the case with me. And for many of the people that I work with, that's exactly it. Belief precedes evidence. If the evidence isn't yet here, hear what I say, yet here, then that's an opportunity for us to deepen our belief, to deepen our faith, to increase our identity, and align with the person that we need to be, with the actions of that person, with the goal achieved. We don't get what we want. We get who we're willing to be. In future episodes, I want to share about how this belief really impacts you as a business leader, as a leader in your health, and especially if you're a salesperson. I mean, there's nowhere belief more visible than in sales. And let's be honest, we're all in the business of sales. Every conversation we have with someone's being sold something. You're either believing what I'm putting out even right now or not. And I can't transfer a belief that I don't hold myself. And that's merely all that sales is. Sales is just the transfer of belief. So if you're a leader and you doubt the strategy, your team feels it. Maybe you're a sales professional and you doubt the value, well, your client feels it. And if the organization doubts the vision, the market feels it. The energy doesn't lie. And you're either giving out the energy of doubt or belief. Doubt delays while belief accelerates. So that's where I said, if you can achieve results with a grind, with a pushing, with overexerting, with working harder. But the way to collapse time The way to make success effortless is by putting belief first. When you put belief first, you know what you want. You decide who you're willing to be. That drives a new level of action. And what you do creates what you have. So this is why it's so important to recognize that we first must be, and through that becoming, we'll do different. And through those different actions, we'll achieve different. I shared with you one action that if you started to do right away, you will see a significant improvement in your results. That was accepting and rejecting ideas from the goal. 2 other actions, when done consistently every day, because that's what it is. It's not like you just have this belief, accept it today and be like, it's in me. I mean, especially Gen X, we are, at least 50 here. And we've had these beliefs for a long time. And how did we develop those beliefs? Was through repetition. So in order for that new action to become part of who we are, in order for that new belief to become part of our identity, we need to repeat it. We need to see it all the time. And so those other actions that we need to do more of would be acting before we're ready, right? Can't start waiting for the outcome before we do it. We act before we're ready, because waiting is just often, again, doubt in disguise. We must do it now. The moment you hesitate, that momentum disappears. And a lot of people try to get to their goal using motivation. Motivation fades. Motivation will get you to the start line, but it's belief, it's persistence, it's becoming that 1% better every day that builds the momentum that will take you to the finish line. So today, if you're hesitating to make a decision, maybe it's hiring someone new. Maybe it's a strategic decision in your company to raise your prices or to introduce a new product or service into the market. Or maybe it's that you want to create better health. And so you want to start to going to the gym and eliminating certain things, habits, beliefs that are holding you back from it. Be stronger than the doubt that's holding you back. The only way to be stronger than that doubt is to have an increased belief, a belief in you, that you wouldn't want anything that you can't create, that everything is working out for you, that our outside world is a reflection of us. So we can look at our results and just get feedback from it, come to it neutrally and just like, oh, that's interesting. I'm finding this in my relationships. I'm finding this in my financial status. I'm finding this in my business. Use your results as an indicator of where your past thinking is, but not as an indicator of what you can create, not as an indicator of your potential. For your present results are just a leg of yesterday's thinking. So what's sharing with you is that in order to create more, in order for you to achieve that which it is that you want, we're going to have an elevated belief. Quantum leaps don't happen through a matter of pushing harder and through working harder. Quantum leaps, being able to collapse the time from where you are to where you want to be, happen through eliminating what's not working and eliminating those beliefs that are holding you back from believing more in yourself and taking that next step of action. As Napoleon Hill said, the state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Closed mind create doubt. Open mind create belief. And belief determines the ceiling of what you'll achieve. So the real question is, who do I need to be to create what it is that I want? And what is those beliefs, or what are those beliefs that I need to have? Because the moment those beliefs become certainty, a knowing, and you act from the law of assumption that what you want is already done, execution will follow. And with that execution, will be the new results. Belief fuels results. Act from belief and let your life catch up. Thank you so much for joining me today on another version or another episode of Xposed Living. I send you love. Be bold. Be brave.
That's it for today's episode of Xposed Living, Be Ageless. But this is just the beginning. If this episode made you feel something, share it. Tag me. Send it to a friend. Let's start the conversation we can be having all along. No shame, no guilt. Unfiltered, raw, real, exposed. And if you're ready to go deeper, join us inside the Xposed Living Facebook community, where we take this work off the podcast and into real life. Know this, your change starts when your excuses die. Because this life, this one wild, ageless, unforgettable life is waiting on you. This is your time. This is your truth. This is Xposed Living.